Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dive Spear, and today we're going to be going over my experience with spearfishing up until now. Spearfishing has been a large part of my life, not only in terms of my fitness, but just memories and just keeping me, it's just fun. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let's go back in time to 2008, and for some of you that might be a long time ago, and some of you not so long ago. 2008, I started the sport by hearing it from an older friend, and he had mentioned, I overheard him here just talk about spearfishing. I think he was planning a trip, if I remember correctly, with another one of his friends that they were going to go out shore diving in my local waters in Southern California. So I hear that. I'm young, I'm impressionable at the time. I'm in high school, and I'm thinking, one, I love the water. I love the beach. Secondly, I like fishing. At the time, my experience pretty much was limited to pier fishing, but I love water, love fishing. Combine the two equals spearfishing, right? And also, on top of that, I'm pretty sure I was pretty impressionable and perhaps a little insecure. But I overheard them. It sounded great, so I asked them, and of course they're very kindly included me into their shore diving day. And we set up the day. It was myself, a handful of new people as well. Would I recommend that today? Probably not under certain conditions, but it was probably a total of 6 of us or so. My dive buddy Kay, that you see in my current videos, he was within that group. He probably went 1 or 2 times prior to me doing it that day, but we went out, and that really got me started. So what I had was, if y'all remember, back in the day, there was a store called Sport Chalet. Sport Chalet sold everything under the sun. It's pretty much like a Dick's Sporting Goods kind of competitor, I guess. Maybe not as polished as Dick's, but I bring that up because that's the store where I got all of my spearfishing gear in the first 4 to 5 years. And that's not even that. You'll find out soon enough. It's not that much gear. But the big part was these. These Aqua Lung snorkeling sets were such a big part of my starting out in spearfishing. So these are pretty much can be sold anywhere, different variations, but they come with fins, they come with snorkels, and they come with goggles. I remember the cheaper ones with like the stiffer fins and the stiffer goggles were like $35 at the time or something like that, and then the nicer ones were like $55. I think I started with the cheaper ones, and then I started with a fiberglass pole spear, which I think at the time was about $50 or so, maybe a little less. But anyway, bare bones, and I did not get a wetsuit. I used just trunks, just swim trunks. So here I am, first day spearfishing out in the water. I remember the water was being pretty cold at the time, but I would like to think I run pretty hot, and I feel like when I was younger, I can withstand the cold a little bit better. But nevertheless, I went out, and I had a great time. I didn't catch a single fish. I saw a bunch of fish, but no single fish. I was definitely scared, for sure, not just from, it's just the unknown. Never been out that far from shore before. It wasn't even that far, probably maybe like 50 yards, which is decent, but definitely not super far in today's standards. But I was just seeing the dark abyss that is the ocean was pretty scary. But left feeling it was really exciting, and then also secondly, I felt extra manly like coming out of that, and I think that really left an impression on me. There was a group of friends that did it, so it was just really easy to get into it, be encouraged by others, and just do it with other friends. And I know if you're just starting out, it can be really, really tough doing it on your own. It takes a lot of stuff to do, gear to do it, and once you can share that experience pretty much with anything, it just helps to have a community around you. But nevertheless, started in 2008, and pretty much from there, everything, I started diving from 2008 to like 2013 or so, I was running trunks, and towards the end of that period, I had a wetsuit that I was a hand-me-down. It was not a open cell. It was just some 3mm cheap wetsuit, surf suit with 3 holes in it, one in the lower back. It was like one in the shoulder and like one in my leg. But yeah, it was really scrappy. And I would dive all year prior to this even, prior to even getting the wetsuit, just all year, even in the winter with trunks. I'd probably only stay out for like 45 minutes at a time, but I would come back just shivering. So pretty bare bones. I think I caught my first fish in like 2012. So it's been like, it was like the first couple of years I didn't catch a fish. No, not even a perch, no nothing. My technique was terrible. I think my breath holds, I wasn't using a watch at the time, but I would imagine we're probably in the realm of like 30 seconds tops, probably give or take around there. I was extremely loud with my little tiny fins, and I didn't know what quiet meant yet, so I'm just splashing everywhere and just spooking all the fish. I eventually caught my first fish, was like a 3-inch perch with my 3-prong. It was extremely exciting, but yeah, I just started from there, and then caught a couple more fish after that, but they were all perch. I don't think I caught like 1 opaleye and I believe a calico, and that was pretty much my resume for the first 4 years. But nevertheless, got to build up a lot of friendships. Like right now, Dive Buddy K, I've been diving with him since then. We've built a pretty strong friendship through that, through spearfishing. But anyway, 2013 hits. I go away for traveling, and then I'm working, and then I eventually move over to the East Coast, Philadelphia, go Birds. And then I eventually come back in I believe it was 2017, 2016, something like that. And then that's when I think I really start to get into my stride with spearfishing, mainly because Dive Buddy K again, he gets involved when I'm gone. He gets involved with the OC Spearos. Shout out to OC Spearos, back when kind of, I guess, the early formations of the club. He learns about Spear America, the spearfishing store. Before that, in my mind, the pinnacle of spear guns was a wooden JBL gun that's posted at the top at Sport Chalet. Because before that was pole spear, small aluminum JBL pipe gun. It was maybe like a size 40. And then the next up was what they called the sawed-off Magnum, which is essentially their entry-level pipe gun, and then went into the wood. So in my mind, that's the tier system. Like, okay, you get a pole spear, and then you get a small spear gun, and then you get a medium, or kind of like an average, and then you get a wooden gun, and that's like top dog. That's all I knew. That and the same nice aqua lung fins and a surf suit. I didn't know open cells were even a thing. So I come back, Kay knows all of this information, and he starts sharing this with me. I learn about some other dive buddies that he's met. At the time, he had a Mako rail gun, essentially like a Mako's entry-level pipe gun, which I thought was like super amazing compared to what I saw in what I had before. And the biggest thing was, I remember seeing long fins for the first time, and I thought this was the most insane overkill fin ever. Now it's just, everyone has fins like that. But yeah, that's when I came back, was really when I feel like I really went into my stride, because one, I had the capital to buy actually decent gear versus buying, like, for example, before I left, I had a JBL sawed-off Magnum, and how I obtained that was I contacted someone through Craigslist. I sent an old iPhone to that person, and that person mailed me back the sawed-off Magnum. So in theory, I could have sent it, and they could have just been gone, and that's nothing I could do. But I eventually got the spear gun. I ended up spearing no fish with it because I was just terrible, and I was very, very anxious about reloading that thing in the water. But yeah, nevertheless, it just ended up, I don't even know where it is now. So, but yeah, came back. I got new fins. I got some plastic long fins. I got a wetsuit. pretty much all the gear you see today, but just kind of, I guess, like entry level, I guess. But that really changed a lot, not just in terms of the gear, but the tips he was learning. I remember I saw Kate dive, and he was holding his breath for an extended period of time, which I thought was like, wow, like he's so good. But as many of you know and see online, there's so many people that are way better than me. I'm not claiming to be good by any means, but there are people way better. There's so many more resources now. It's insane. There's the community's so much larger. Gear's readily available, and yeah, you can essentially teach yourself if you have to, and get out there, join a group, find some dive buddies, and you're good to go. Back in the day, yes, they had spear boards. I would say it's a little more hostile back then, not as like welcoming, but it definitely made it easier that I had some friends back then. But yeah, got a bunch of gear, and I started to increase my breath hold times, started exploring new areas, and eventually, I mean, my first boat dive was Ensenada a couple years ago. So, I mean, it's come a long way. I would say the last 3 years, even though I restarted in 2017 or so, the last 3 years, pretty much when the pandemic, or 2019 leading into the pandemic, or the kind of, that period of time, I feel like I've grown quite a bit. Caught my first white sea bass, caught a Gulf grouper in Mexico. There's just so many things I've learned and I've caught over the time period, and I feel like now it's really coming into its stride. And I've met so many awesome people up until this point. So if you're considering spearfishing and you haven't already if you haven't pulled the trigger already, give it a shot. For me, it's been life-changing. One, from a fitness perspective, I love that the community, I would say, is kind of promotes fitness and overall well-being, because you have to, because you're diving. You can't just sit on a boat and drink and eat and catch a fish and be fine. Spearfishing requires your entire self, your physical body. So I love that component about it. It helps me stay fit. Secondly, I love that you can disconnect when you're in the water. So what I mean by that is, once you're diving, that is all you're thinking about. You're exploring a brand new world. I know that sounds very hippie mumbo jumbo, but especially with the busy lives that everyone lives today, yeah, it's just nice to totally like disconnect, and you're just like in the zone when you're diving, which is great. So that, and lastly, just meeting new friends. The community, you can join Facebook groups, Instagram, go to club meetings, go to just stores and just meet new people, and you can find new dive buddies, get new gear. People are always unloading used gear all the time. So if you just want to connect, and then pick up someone's old gear, it's a great way to do it. If you want to get on a boat, you can't afford a boat, like probably most of us. There's people with boats out there that happily have you on board. Just obviously be courteous. Pitch in where you can, even if it's not financially, like cleaning the boat, making sure everything's in order, helping out where you can. There's just so many resources now. Give it a shot. If you are in the sport currently, or you just started, keep going. I'm sure you're loving it, but just try to learn new tricks here and there. You'll find the fish out there. I definitely will say it seems like there's a lot less fish than before, but I guess when you catch that fish, it just makes it that much more rewarding. But yeah, use Google Maps. There's so many things, but nevertheless, I just want to share this, kind of my spearfishing journey up until this point. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about me, but I love the sport. Dive safe.